Welcome to Money Conversations with KJ. KJ is a lifelong entrepreneur who's made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and found his way back again. If you're looking for a sterile how-to, you're in the wrong place. KJ and his guests will walk you through real-life situations told by the people who live them, and they are as messy as they are inspiring. Each episode will offer lessons learned, advice on how to replicate successes and avoid pitfalls, and a new perspective to power your financial literacy. Far from a one-size-fits-all, this podcast can help you build a roadmap to your personal promised land. Milk and honey for some, whiskey and steak for others, and remind you that you're not alone on this journey.
Hello. Welcome back to the show, guys. Money Conversations with KJ. I'm your host, KJ, and today I got a special guest back for a second round, Mr. Dave Nieves. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Dave, I brought Dave in here, guys, because we're going to have an awesome conversation about money mindset. So, Dave, you and I chat about money a lot, right? And like I just had a conversation with another person, like I think we all should talk more about money, right? Hence why my show is called Money Conversations with KJ, because you believe if we all talk more about money, we'll do better with money?
Absolutely.
Because like anything else, we share what we're doing, the good, the bad, and the ugly about it, and we can all learn. I don't know why. Why do you think people don't talk about money, Dave?
It's personal, and then I think it's like it's something that's maybe even ingrained in us in school, where we try to keep, it's like, don't let nobody see what your report card is, or don't let nobody see what your grade is, or how you're doing. And it's got that little bit of energy, and therefore whatever habits that we acquire, since we have no one to talk to about those habits, we kind of keep them for a very long time.
Yeah, you're right, because, I think, and I've shared this thought, like, you're embarrassed if you have it, and you're embarrassed if you don't. You know what I mean? Because you don't want people to be jealous if you have a lot, or you're afraid they're going to come ask you for money. And if you don't have money, you're like, well, I don't have any money to go and do whatever. So you're embarrassed that way. So like you're embarrassed kind of both ways. And so people, I think, struggle talking about it, where if we talked about it and I shared with you, hey, Dave, I made money XYZ this way. How'd you do it? And I explained how I did it. You're like, cool, dude. I want to do that too.
Yeah. What if you become a target? I've had people that say, well, I don't want to let nobody know what I have because I don't want nobody, target me. But more importantly, the first time I had a conversation like that where somebody wanted to share their experiences, I was floored, because no one had ever
done that, right?
I was like, what? And I remember hearing for the first time the word abundant. There's plenty to go around. It was an instructor that was teaching a strategy in real estate, and he literally took himself out of the market because his own students came back and used his own strategy to implement in real estate and took him out of the market. And I was like, oh, that's terrible. And he's like, no, it's not. It's okay. Because I really wanted to focus on this other thing, and there's enough for everyone to go around. So it just kind of pushed me and made me focus more on what I was really more passionate about. So that was a vehicle that only took me that far. It was just an interesting way of looking at things that I had never heard of before. For me, before that, it was all like, you want to grab as much as you can, and then you get to disperse it to who you like the best.
So you mentioned something earlier, like those traits, because that's a trait, right? Mm-hmm. Those traits, we must learn those really early in life. I'm talking, you probably learning that stuff at 2 and 3 years old. Because, I'm learning through conversation how people's money mindsets are shaped around 5. Like, with toys, hey, that's my toy. Don't play with my toy, right? And if that travels through our whole lives, abundance is definitely a better way of living. But let's talk about, I recently was talking to somebody else about what I want to call the 3 hard truths about money, right? Which is along the same path. Why we don't talk about it? Well, one, I found now through conversation, mom and dad never taught us about money. And we all have to learn. I had the podcast I did yesterday, the gal's 30, and she said what I've heard half a dozen or so times just recently from that demographic, where she says to herself, you know what? I think now I have to start really being serious about my money and what I'm going to do, and I have to grow it if I want some sort of retirement. And I told her, I says, you're not the first to think this way. I think a lot of people in your age bracket there, 30 seems to be the age, which sucks because you don't even understand. We talked about the value of time, right? I'm like, so your 20s were spent just trying to figure it out, what you're going to do and what you did do with your money, and that time, which we're never going to get back. In the when you do math compound, those 10 years later, 30, 40 years later, could cost you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars if you'd have done some good things with money instead of just freewheeling it your whole. But how many people do you know, right? All their 20s are like, no, I'm 20. I'm not going to worry about money or buying a house or retirement. I'm too young for that.
I think we're being conditioned to even think out of that, even in today's market more than ever. Like you just hit on something like, I'm gonna buy a house. 20 years ago, there was people that were like checking out and saying, it's not for me. I'm never going to be able to qualify to buy a house. I'm priced out. This is too expensive. Now, 20 years later, especially with what's happened in the last 6 months, there's a significant group, I think, of younger people that have totally told themselves, that is not for me. That was my parents. I live a totally different lifestyle.
So think about that mindset when realizing buying a home isn't about you owning a home because I'm planting my seed here and I'm going to decorate it how I want. My belief system is start opening a home as early as possible, right? A home is a way to make money. So the people if you're a 20 whatever year old and you bought a home in the last 18 months, you just made a lot of money.
Correct.
So for the mindset of, oh, that's not for me, I'm not going to go down that road, you're saying, I don't want to make no money. I don't want a financial future that I won't have to worry about it.
What I'm saying is that these people are conditioned by society. I mean, their situations, what they're being to put themselves into, the employment. You're making $15 an hour, and a house is costing $400,000. They don't see the correlation for these for some of these.
Okay, well, shoot, let's just take my daughter for example, right? She makes $15 an hour, bought a condo. She's been there now 18 months. Mm-hmm. And again, 18 months, we know what's happened in the market, right? Mm-hmm. She's already sitting on about 65 or 70,000 in equity.
Yep.
That's twice as much that she made in the last 2 years.
What percentage of the population is doing what your daughter's doing?
But why? Because I just said the 3 hard truths. The first one is mom and dad don't teach you.
Agreed.
I taught her.
Agreed.
There's the disconnect, right?
Okay.
Because the people who have the mindset, right? The millennials in the age bracket of 22 to 30 or whatever, like, no, it's not for me. They weren't taught in understanding compounding is our friend, our best friend, right? That you need to make money, that buying a house is all about a transaction of making money. You're not going to buy a house at 20 or 25 and live in it for 50 years like our grandparents did, right?
No.
Our grandparents lived in houses 40, 50 or more years. In today's world, no. We all live in houses 5 to 7 years. But the money that you could make in those 5 to 7 years, depending on the time and, like right now, you're making a boatload of money. So that's the hard truth one, is that mom and dad didn't teach you. So the hard truth two is that people are not being proactive about learning about money.
No.
This is why I have money conversations with KJ. I want to teach you guys. Guys, you need to have a different mindset. You need to have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. What you describe with people saying, hey, it's not for me. I don't want to go down that road. That's a very fixed mindset.
I agreed 110%. I'm talking to the vast majority of people out there. Kevin, you and I have a lot of friends. How many of them are well versed in financials and how to what accounts to put your money in, how to grow your money, how to put your money to work? How many people can you say, oh man, like that guy right there is inspiring me to do more? It's I'm not saying that they're not out there, but there's not as many as I know. Several more that are going in a different direction.
Right.
They're either working at a company that they've been at for 3 decades and they're going to make a retirement and they have already certain things allocated for that. And then you have some other people that are entrepreneurs, and then you have other people that have been working, different jobs every 5 years. You have a whole spectrum of these people, but more times than not, you run into a group of people that what I'm saying is that there is a stronger need for education.
There is.
Financial education. There's more people that lack it, that need it, than there is that have it.
Well, let's dig into the third one, and then we'll dig into each of these, because the third one I have written here is your mindset was never properly formed about money. Hence, as parents, and we're parents, right? It is our jobs. It's every parent's job to get your kid ready for the real world, right? To be an adult. And money is that. But when we understand and know now that parents don't do that, and it's hard to understand why they don't, right? Maybe they don't because I always say parents can't teach what parents don't know. So if your parents aren't good with money, they don't know. How can they teach you, right? So then the number two here is, hey, you have to be proactive. You've got to go be. And so like I'm meeting people that are being proactive, and then you wonder why, hey, at 40 or 50 years old, why is that person doing so much better than I did? Well, because they were proactive in learning how to play the game, the money game.
Yeah, and those people have to be pioneers. They have to be willing to face all the challenges, because when you go up there and you start bucking family trends, and you start going outside and you start peeking behind that curtain and seeing what's out there and seeing if these programs really exist and they really work. And like you said, you're surrounded by a group of people with a fixed mindset. Guess what they're going to do to you? They're going to be like, that's not for you.
Right.
What are you doing over there? Get back over here. Get back in your lane. Get back where you belong.
How do we fix that?
With more conversations like this, with more, you got to ask people the tough questions. Hey, how you doing? Or how's it going with money? Or why aren't you taking advantage of what's going on right now? You got to ask those types of questions. And then if you don't understand something, ask again. I'll never forget. There was a time I was at Costco, and I was going to put gas in the car, and my daughter was with me, and in front of me there was a really nice car, and on the license plate it said Roth. And I looked at my daughter and I go, you know what? Do you think that guy's successful? And she goes, yeah. I go, why? And she goes, well, look at his shoes, look at his belt, look at his hair, and he had really nice glasses on. He looks successful. And I go, I'm gonna go introduce myself to him. She's like, no, don't embarrass me. And I go, well, I'll tell you what. Again, money motivates, right? I go, I'll make you a $20 bet. If he does not shake my hand, I will give you $20. But if he shakes my hand, then you don't have to give me anything. And she goes, okay, nothing to lose, right?
Right.
Smart, right? So I go out there. Now she's enthused that I'm going to go meet this guy. I go out there and I go, excuse me, sir. I was just in the car with my daughter. She's right there, and she looks and waves. And the guy looks and he waves back. And, now it's not, the walls are down.
Right.
And I go, I couldn't help but notice your license plate. I couldn't help but notice that your license plate says Roth. Is that your last name, or are you affiliated with the Roth IRA? And he goes, it's funny you asked that. Roth is my last name, and my family did start the Roth IRA. And I was like, oh.
Really?
Wow. Well, it's very nice to meet you. And I extended my hand. And of course, he shook my hand. And then I went back to the car and we laughed. But it's knowing things like that. It's having approaches like that. It's educating your children like that. It's let's see, what's something that's very common that we talk. I know maybe like what's something we talk about. What's happening in hip hop culture is something that's a common. What's happening in the news is something that we easily talk about, and we could talk about that at work. We could talk about that anywhere. Why can't we have those same conversations about money?
Again, I think it's one or the other. You have it or you don't, and you're embarrassed either way. But I'm going to start asking people. I know people with money, and I know people without money. I'm going to start asking that question.
What's the question? What's that question?
Do you talk about money with other people? Other friends and acquaintances, not necessarily family, although you should talk. That should be the first people you talk about money about is your family. And see, and let me start to get a kind of a survey going and seeing what the reason, and ask them why. Because I already know the answer. They're 95% are going to tell me no.
I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah? You think a lot more will say yes, they are talking about it?
I think that when you ask the question, I think there's a lot of people that now with the internet and all the information that we're receiving, a lot of people know, they've heard things. I think they have questions. But I think there's still that reservedness of like, I don't want to expose, or it's not proper, I shouldn't be talking about it. But if someone comes and knocks on the door and says, hey, what's it like what's the latest thing you've learned about money that, you want to share? I can guarantee you're going to get a reaction right away, like, oh, I learned something really cool and I want to share it, or I don't talk about money.
Yeah. I don't talk about money.
It's not proper.
I've already had people tell I don't talk about money. Like, yeah, not proper. What does that even mean?
I can't even,
think about it's not proper. What is?
I think of.
I didn't ask you how much money you have in your pocket. Okay. I'm never specific when I talk about money with someone. Like, hey, how much you got?
Yeah, like like how much you have in your pocket. No, it's not.
No,
it's how do you how do you grow? I think people are embarrassed too.
That's what I'm saying. You're embarrassed. Either you have it or you don't have it,
or you don't understand it,
Yeah,
if someone starts talking to you about something you maybe you're shy about. Maybe you know nothing about real estate. Maybe you know nothing about the stock market, and somebody starts talking to you about those things, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound crazy.
I don't want to sound dumb.
Yeah,
but that's okay. I mean, you can't learn anything if you don't talk about it.
Okay, so I go back.
Well, I mean, you could obviously on your own by yourself read books, watch videos, and learn.
In grade school, it was called cheating, right? As adults,
right.
It's called masterminding.
Right.
I think a lot of adults are still stuck in the cheating.
That's a mindset.
Yeah.
You know what just triggered me? If you'd be up for this could probably be a lot of fun too. What if you and I went and had a guy filming, and we went out on Las Vegas Boulevard and had just 3 questions about money.
Oh, that'd be great.
And just to see the answers.
That'd be great.
You've seen the late night shows where they go on the streets and they ask people questions that everybody should know and they don't, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to go out there and make fun of people. I want to get data. I'm looking for data.
It turns into fun, right?
It does. Yeah, it totally could be a lot of fun.
It turns into fun. I bet you there's some spectacular answers too.
Right.
There's got to be some really great answers, and there's got to be a lot of answers that are going to make everybody who's watching shake their head and go, okay, maybe there is something here that we need to identify, because I've had conversations with people that have money, and I want to put up the air quotations right now.
Yeah.
But I've had conversations with people that have money, and they're relying on someone else to drive the ship. And they're just kind of just like, what? Like, no,
Well, that's interesting that let's plan to do that. Like in October when it's nice.
That was exactly going to be my next point. I was like,
Not this week.
The next couple of months are going to be out.
Yeah, not here. We're in Vegas, guys. We're in Vegas, and it's bleed. Last week 117, and we're all happy right now. We got the cool down to 103. We're thinking it's cool, but yeah, no. I'm talking October when it's 75 degrees outside.
That's beautiful.
We'll go out on the strip because we'll meet people from all over the world.
It'll be fun
on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Awesome,
right?
You do it
and hear those mindsets. That's really cool. Well, let's talk to the people. We know the problems, right? One, mom and dad never talked to you about it, never taught you. And that's the case of probably 95% of people. I'm not saying everybody, but most. And sometimes mom and dad just taught you, hey, save your money, and that's it. I hear that a lot. What would mom and dad teach you? Well, they told me to save my money and don't ruin my credit. I go, anything else? No, that's it. I'm like, that's pretty shallow, pretty not okay. We should all know that at least. Okay. And you're not proactive. I mean, there's so many things. You could listen to just my podcast or any podcast for free. You can go online and learn all kinds of free stuff, right? And put yourself in a better position, or not. You don't even have to be in a bad position, but you just want to be in a better position, right? Because you've heard stories where people have made a lot of money. They don't know what to do with it. Right. So they're like, oh, maybe I go find a financial advisor. Like, that's one route, depending on how much you have. Understanding that a financial advisor doesn't want to talk to you unless you got about a minimum 10,000. And even there, you're not getting a great conversation. Mm-hmm. The financial advisors want to talk with people that have $50,000+ because they make money in your money. And then your mindset was never properly formed. Let's talk to the people. Since mom and dad didn't teach you, if you are or not a parent, how can we fix this?
I think just to go back. What do you mean? Like, is it?
Well, there's a disconnect here, and this has been happening for obviously roughly 100 years, where we don't talk about money. So you're my friend. You have kids. I talk to you about money. Since we've been having a lot more money conversations in the last few years, have you talked more to your kids about money?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think we keep sharing. I know all the people that my circle, they are talking more to their kids / even friends about money?
Oh yeah, I mean, I got my kids involved as early as 15. I got them, I had them understand what it was. I had them become users on my credit card. I forgot what it's called. What is it? Executive user. So I established their credit, and I started teaching them that. I started teaching them how that aspect of money works. And of course, the next level is when they actually start making an income. Right now, they're still not making an income, but managing their finances now. Well, at least you're
having credit. Yeah, you're having conversations. So when your kids are 30, 35 years old, and someone asks them, "Well, who taught you?" Guess what they're going to say?
Oh yeah,
my dad, my mom and dad taught me.
Sure.
Well, no wonder you financially are in a pretty decent place. You actually got taught, right? Versus, most don't. So one, how we solve the problem is talking with, if you are really at any age and you're starting to develop some sort of education around money, share it. Because like my youngest daughter, right? She bought her condo at 19. 6 months later, her friend bought one. She's like, "Hey, Faith bought one. You know what? I work. I have money. I'll buy one too."
If she can do it, I can do it.
Exactly.
That's the example.
Yes, she set the example, right? And so, yeah, same thing. Small $150,000 condo, $900 a month. Get a roommate. It's either that or 19, 20-year-olds always want to move away from home, right? They're going to go pay rent somewhere. So why rent? Buy. Right. So by me teaching her and talking about it, and they knew that I was teaching and talking about it, look, the trickle down effect.
Sure.
Or trickle up. We'll call it trickle up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talking, having conversations, you guys that are out there at any level, because I used this example the other day, on a scale of 1 to 10, if your money comprehension of learning about money is a 1, you can learn from a 3.
Sure.
And if you're a 3, you can learn from a 6. And a 6 can learn from a 9 or a 10.
And at some point it gets a little bit bigger than that. But
yes. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to be a 10 on the scale. If you're a 1, like I've got to go find a 10 to learn from. No, you could totally learn from a 3. Right? And just keep learning. Let's just keep, I would love to see talking about money is as casual as talking about the weather.
Yeah.
Like get excited why you made $X.
I think that there's certain parts of the country that are probably more acceptable than others. That.
Well, you and I learned that this country really is in 4 quadrants, right? North, south, east, west, and the mindsets are definitely different. I mean, it's like we are in different countries, but I still don't understand that one.
Yeah. But I think you're right. More conversation is going to lead to more education, is going to lead to more exposure. What about the last one you had on your list?
So
forming or what?
Yeah, your mindset was never properly formed, which means, guess what? People are figuring it out all on their own. And if you're not actively doing it correctly, like anything else, if you create a bad habit, I'll use an example. I'm a golfer, right? And I've seen guys play golf and their swings are like, I don't know who taught you how to swing that club, bro, but it's not. You're doing it wrong. And if you do it wrong, you're never going to have a good result. All right. So the same thing with your mindset around money. If you create a mindset around money that isn't a growth mindset, but a fixed mindset, how can you ever expect to really have a lot of money? And money's just options for us anyway in life. So it's not about, hey, how much can I have in my lifetime? It's about giving me options, having my money go to work to support my lifestyle, whatever that may be. And there is no right or wrong answer in that for that question. But being properly formed, right? Because how many people do you know or have you talked to like, well, I'm just figuring it out.
So
and then they think they're always right. Whatever they think they learn.
Whatever they learn that day.
That's the right way.
Figured it, or is that also like balance? What is balance? Like to means that they're not all their eggs in one basket. They're diversified. What is that like formed?
Well, I think the mindset around money, the way I teach it, and I'd love for people to learn, is understanding money as a tool, right? Don't hoard it. Having a tool you never use doesn't do you any good, right? Let's say you bought a Ferrari and never drove it. Why'd you buy it then? That car's meant to be driven and driven hard. It's a sports car, right? It's not a 4-wheel drive. Don't take it in the dirt. It's a street car, right? But don't buy it if you're not going to drive it. Same thing with money. Don't save it if you're not going to do something with it. do something good, because we can all do good things with money that help other people, right? So forming a proper money mindset is about why you are working, doing whatever you're doing, trading your time for money. For what reason? For, I want to live in a better place. I need to make more money because I don't like where I live. I want a better place, bigger place, nicer place, whatever. Same with the car. Uh-oh. We got special delivery coming in, Dave.
I like special delivery.
Special delivery. Guess what we got? I got this for you, buddy. What do you think that is?
It looks like very nice little amber right there.
It's a nice Modelo, pal.
There it is. That's what I was
Because that's how I like to treat my guests.
Thanks, man.
So we're going to indulge ourselves in a little toasty toast right here. Toast, buddy. There you go. All right. Nice cold beer at the end of the day. Oh, very nice. Very nice. So, get back on track here. Forming the right mindset with money and using it as a tool for a purpose. You know, one of the things I teach in the course is really understanding the difference between wants and needs. Because unfortunately, most people spend their money on wants and not the needs, right? If you don't live in a good area, you need to get out of there to live in a better neighborhood, but it costs more money. Then don't squander your paycheck when you get paid. You must save for a purpose. I need to save because I need to move out. I need to upgrade my life out of this dangerous area, let's just say, right? But I think people want instant satisfaction. So you feel you work so hard all week long, I deserve to go spend 30% of my paycheck on something that's useless to me.
I remember being a little kid. My first introduction to that was, and I don't even think it was that. It was a version of that. Remember layaway?
Yeah.
That was like the first idea.
They still have that.
As a kid, I remember it's like, okay, wait a minute. So I get to have, but see, it's not like credit. Credit's like, that is layaway on steroids. Because you get to get whatever it is today without paying for it.
Credit does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Layaway, you don't get the item.
But that was a drop. But I still used to think it was like, that to me was, as a child, I was like, oh, what? Oh.
But I think layaway is a good thing, because think what it teaches, Dave. Layaway teaches discipline. Okay. Oh, I want item X. Let's just use a round number. It's $100. I don't have $100. I got $20 today. Mm-hmm. And I could put $20 per week on that. So I get that item in 5 weeks time. Are you anticipating to get that item?
It's a definite more of a discipline.
I think it teaches, I think layaway can teach you good discipline with money.
Definitely. Better. I think it's more discipline. I mean, credit, it leaves more room for error for some people.
It can. I can't remember. I don't think I personally ever did anything on layaway, and I don't know all the rules about layaway. So I don't know if you could. I think you can. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say I had a $100 item. I put $20 on it for 3 weeks in a row. I'm $60 into this $100 item, and then I change my mind. Do I get all my money back?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. I think you do. I think there might be a restock fee, a percentage, but I think you get your money back.
Because for some reason you're all hot and heavy to get that $100 item, and then that hot and heaviness, it cooled off. You're like, I don't really want that now.
Take my money back.
Yeah, let me get my money because I want this over here instead.
It's interesting.
I think it helps cure the instant satisfaction, because you're not getting any instant satisfaction other than the mindset of knowing I'm going to get product or item at one point that I really want.
Is that
or enough? Maybe even need. I think a lot of people put things on layaway because they need it.
Well,
hey, I need a new washer.
Well, now we have, Amazon. So you just right there, like, boom, you pull that trigger right there, and then you deal with the consequences 30 days later or 28 days later, So look at the evolution. I'm just saying, to me, it was, as a kid, I don't remember credit cards as much. I remember the Diners Club, and there was some, I remember some really crazy times when they had the machine, the carbon paper and all that good stuff. But I remember layaway was a thing, and credit card kind of took layaway away, took the power out of that. But now it's...
You know why? Why do you think that is? Why do you think we evolved? Because credit cards were only for the wealthy in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Okay? You had to have wealth to have a credit card, which were the Diners Club and Visa and Amex, right? That was it, right? And then the department stores started giving them out in the late 70s and early 80s. So it was all about, hey, I got to go get my Dillard card or Sears card or Macy's or whatever it was, right? And that lasted for like 20 years. Went all through the 80s and most of the 90s. It was about department store cards. And then, well, what I call the majors, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, are these guys are all stealing our business. And so then they started promoting, and that's when the perks came into play. Because you never got a perk with a department store card. You would get sales, but I really don't call a sale a perk, because that sale is for everybody. You get maybe a little more percentage off if you have their card, right? Card holders get another 10% off or something.
Maybe it was a holiday
thing, right? But then when the majors started coming out with points, money cash back, and
dominated.
Yeah,
Took it.
Yeah, now it's the opposite. Now it's like, I don't want any department store cards. What are they giving me?
Nothing.
And I can only use it at their store.
Well, again, and that's for the people that know that. Because there's a group of people out there that have their dealer card or their department store's credit card or the jewelry store credit card. The jewelry store credit. I have an $80,000 limit on a jewelry store credit card, and which is a completely different thing than a credit card, revolving credit.
It is.
It's different. And again, if you don't know that, you're walking around with the confidence of $80,000 in your wallet. And that could be detrimental. Hugely detrimental, because it's not all this credit card, guys. Most of us all have credit cards, not everybody, but most. And understanding, let's say, I'll just use an example. You got 3 credit cards. They each have $5,000 limit. That's $15,000. That's not your $15,000. You spend it, you got to pay that back now. It's not like you saved $15,000. If I save $15,000, it's in my bank. I go spend $5,000 on $X. That's it. Transaction's over. Yeah, no one's coming. No one's knocking on my door going, "Hey, where's my payment? When are you going to pay me back?" Well, that's true.
And interest and everything else that goes along with that. You know what I mean? So it was a mind game with the credit card. They knew that. It's just like we live in Vegas, right? It's just the whole reason when you go to a casino, they give you chips, and we don't gamble with cash, right? Because chips aren't real money. They're all the same size. They're just different colors. And the colors are denominations. And you're like, I'm not going to push red chips out anymore. Those are $5. I'm going to push out a green one. It's $25. That gets boring. Let me push out a black one. Those are $100. You're like, it's just so easy to do that. Casinos know that. And they've preyed on people now in Vegas for 50 years doing it, right? Or longer. Same with the credit cards, though. This self-discipline. So the importance of talking about money, the value of money, earning it, right? Everybody works hard for their money. Don't squander it, right? Be proactive about what you're going to do with that money, right?
I like that one.
Be very proactive about learning about it. And 2, if your mindset is not right with money right now, you are spending more money on wants versus needs, you are going to probably never have money.
Wake up.
Now, I read a quote, I think it was this morning, maybe yesterday, on Facebook. I'm scrolling through there. You know, people always post quotes, right? And I can't remember verbatim, but the gist was this. Stop saving money. Enjoy life's experiences. Life experiences are more important than money. And I thought, yes and no. Because does it take money to have life experiences?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know where they're going with that, though. They're talking to the people like Dalai Lama, man. They're talking to the people that are just like monking out. You know, they're talking about the basic components of life: air, love, and
I think
the wind.
But you know what? You know what I read into it. I read into it this way: right or wrong or indifferent. I perceived it. The person who came up with that quote, which sounded very inspirational, right? Like, don't experience life to its fullest. Don't worry about the money. That's someone with no money.
What would a person? How would a person with money?
Well, I want to say no money, but a person that lives that doesn't have a lot of money.
So if you have a lot of money and you say money isn't everything,
that's because you never had it.
You think that a person with money would never say that?
Never. People with money never say that.
So if a person's sitting on a yacht and they have the amazing helicopter yacht, they have that yacht, and they're sailing on that amazing coast or
Right.
piece of ocean, right, or sea,
What are they saying?
and they go, oh, and they look off into the sunset, and it's like, if I only had someone to love. Money isn't everything. And then it says, the end.
Right.
What do you say to that?
I feel bad for him.
You do?
Yeah.
I think he's in a good situation, right? He's having a bad day. Problems are bad, but he's in a nice place.
Yeah.
I mean, I can agree with that. I mean, I'm with you, KJ. I like the fact that I think money's a good thing.
I love having options. I just want the money that I have and I know that I'm going to have. I just want more options. And that's all money does for us, is gives us options. And I want more options.
It feels good to have to get a task done though, and achieve it with high success too. That's a good feeling.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants to. I don't know too many people that want to go through life and go, man, this life is really hard, and I enjoy that. I haven't met people like that.
No.
If anything, they're all striving. They're all striving to having a more enjoyable life. But that's why I said, it's like, how do you know what you don't know? How do you know if you're missing something?
Yes.
How do you know if you need more information? The thing is, you don't know, and you have to just go out there and ask and talk about it. And
Well, let me
look.
ask you this. So you just used the example of some wealthy person on a yacht sitting in some Antigua Bay or whatever, watching an amazing sunset, right?
Yeah.
Thinking money isn't everything. I don't have love, right? Would the person who didn't have money go, man, that would be nice to be on that yacht watching that sunset? And I got plenty of love over here, but man, I want that yacht and that sunset.
I see. That's just the
Right?
That's kind of the thing right there. And that's why we talked earlier about balance.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's a little bit. There's got to be a balance to it.
I guess, listen, there's no right or wrong answer on how much money you want / deserve or receive. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's your life. You're going to live it. But the people out there that struggle in life because of finances, right?
And don't talk about it.
You need to be proactive with your finances, do the right things with money, even if it only gets you to the level of, I feel peace. I may not have the yacht. I may not go on 5 vacations a year. I may not wear the, $500 or $1,000 shoes, but I have peace and I'm happy where I'm at. That's fine.
I think I've had moments in my life where I've lost track of where I'm at in my life. And I think that's what you might be referring to.
What do you mean lost track?
So what I mean by that is like you're just going through the motions.
Okay.
The kids are growing up, you're going through the motion, every day's a routine, every day you're going through the same thing, and then you kind of forgot about what's going to happen in the next phase of your life, or or what direction you want to go into, because you're so caught up in what you're doing right this very moment. I think what you're referring to and what you're kind of alluding to is like, hey, look up. Hey, look up, and if you don't like what you got, let's track it. Let's have a starting point. Let's start talking about it. Let's say that another time. But let's start talking about the situation. Let's start changing some things. I know some people that get a check and they go cash it at a check cashing place, and they get charged 15 to 20%. Just because they don't know the benefit of having a savings or a checking account, and no one's ever explained it to them. And you know what? They're too intimidated. They feel like they're at the blackjack table and they're dealing out cards and putting out the cards in front of them. And they're like, I don't.
Do I stand? Do I hit? What do I do?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So how do you get out of that? How do you get out of that place? You find someone. And if they're too intimidating, then you dumb it down. You find someone that's a little bit, like you said, you find a 3.
You find a 3.
You find somebody that's maybe not driving the Maserati, but that's driving the really nice Chevy Malibu. And you're like, man, you know what?
How'd you drive that car? My car's 25 years old. How'd you get that one? Exactly. I think 1s need to talk to 3s. 3s talk to 6s. 6s can talk to 10s. Because you're right. A 1 can't talk to a 10. Everything the 10's going to say is going to fly right over their head. They're like, what do you mean? I don't understand what you said.
Sure.
But this is why I talk about it. I mean, this conversation we're having right here, I'm hoping that people are listening and going, I agree. Number 1, I hope they agree. And they're like, start talking more about money to your friends and family. 2, two have had some aha moments within this conversation that we've had, right? Like, they're right. They're right. I need to talk. I didn't know this or I didn't know that. And again, everybody, no right or wrong answer here. Your own personal life is your life. I just want you to understand money in the world we live today. This is 2021. This isn't 1776 or something, right? That money is going to give you the options to, one, provide for your family better or yourself. My number 2 module in my program is goals. It's a fact. Harvard did a study. It's so important to set your goals and have a path to them, because they proved that people who have goals and write them on a regular basis will earn 10 times more money. It's just a fact. We cannot fly the ship, so to speak, blind. You crash. You'll crash and burn. You'll crash and burn. And life, we talked earlier about, what you do for a living. You don't have to do the same thing your whole life. You could change careers every 3 to 5 years or 10 or whatever you want. You could be all super excited at 20 wanting to be a nurse, and you'd go be a nurse for 5 or 7 years. You're like, I can't deal with that no more. I want to go do whatever else, real estate. Yeah, right. You could change. There's nothing wrong with that. To me, the common denominator is you're making money, and your money doesn't care when you're making investments. Doesn't care where it came from. It doesn't care how you made the money, but I'm going to go invest in XYZ, stock market, real estate, coins, stamps, baseball cards, whatever that we invest in, right? It doesn't matter where that money came from that we invested. So it doesn't matter that you want to change careers. We talked about that, right?
Yep.
So it's okay. Let's let people know it's okay in today's world. Because you know how many people are starting careers? Me. I want to have a career online, talking about money, offering my program, giving value in awakening people, because financial literacy is a huge problem, not just in our country, but the planet. And that's why there's more losers than there are winners.
Well, we just gave a great example of how to have a money conversation. So, it's just that simple. It's just a matter of asking some questions and then listening. And then if you don't understand, my favorite thing to do is just go and Google it.
Google it. And you know what? I haven't Googled in so long. I did Google yesterday. I mainly YouTube it.
There you go. That's the other one too.
I'd rather and YouTube's growing in leaps and bounds over Google, because do people want to read or do they want to watch a video?
Watch a video.
Yeah.
It's easier.
Yeah. And comprehension, it's a fact the way we all learn. We learn a lot. We learn faster and more in depth by visual and auditory at the same time. And that's what video is, right? I'm watching somebody or something and listening at the same time.
Yeah.
And now that's why then they have captions, right? You see a lot of videos that the caption is as someone's speaking, so the caption's there. So now you're doing all three.
Yeah. And that's the key.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So if you're going to learn things, and because
great point.
I'm not an avid reader, I do read, but there are some avid readers that are like, I'm a book a week kind of thing. And I'm like, man, I'm hours and hours of YouTube. I could tell you that, a weekly.
When I read and listen at the same time, it's powerful.
It's powerful.
If I could listen to it in my ear and I could see it with my eyes and follow it, it really...
Well, guys, look, I'm going to hit you up again, a little promo. My program's almost done. Money Conversation with KJ is going to have the Roadmap to Financial Literacy, which is an 11-course module, 4-hour training, and then a roadmap that you could personally fill out all your personal numbers in. And I put it together exactly that. It is visual, audio, and you get to read what I'm saying. Because I really want you to retain it. And even though I tell everybody, I share with everybody in the training, like, hey, you can't just do this training one time. Because once you purchase it, it's yours for life. I'm not going to shut it off and come back. There's going to be certain chapters in there that you're like, I got to go hear that again. And it could be next week, next month, next year. Like, hey, I remember, doing that module about credit, and I don't quite remember everything. Let me get back in there and learn that credit.
So the mother of learning is repetition.
Yeah, repetition. There you go. Wow. There you go. Wow. Dave, you know what we just did?
More than we said we were going to do?
We just had money conversations with KJ.
All right.
We talked about money. I want all you guys out there, start talking about money. You don't have we did not one time today talk specifically about dollars themselves. Right? Like, hey, I got $200 in my pocket. You got, $4 in your pocket. I never get specific on the amounts because that's not the important thing. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about having conversations out there in the world with friends, family, coworkers, whoever, that you're going to get into their specific. Don't ever ask somebody, hey, how much money's in your bank or your pocket? Like, that's none of anybody's business. But do ask them, what are you doing with it? How did you make it? How do you treat your money? Hey, what bank account, what kind of accounts do you have?
What kind of returns do you get on?
Yeah, what kind of returns are you getting? Right? We can have all those conversations. There's nothing, to me, why should that be private?
I think most people would feel honored to talk about
I think most people, want to share that.
like a little bit self-righteous.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
I don't think so.
Shoot. Man, that was awesome. Thanks for coming out, Dave.
Anytime, buddy.
Anytime I can share a Modelo and talk money with you, it's all good. All good. All right, guys, listen, if you really liked what you heard today and you're watching this on YouTube, please smash that like button and hit that subscribe and the alert bell. Just trying to give as much value out there as I possibly can to help you guys out. And remember, the program is coming out soon, and I will make a big announcement when that happens. And for you guys listening on the podcast, hey, thanks for getting out there and listening to it. If you haven't subscribed to that podcast channel, please do. I am on most podcast platforms, and there's a new one out every Wednesday, or go to the YouTube channel, Money Conversations with KJ, and watch some of those videos. So, hey, until the next one, you guys take care. Hey, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Really enjoyed making all these episodes for you. Remember, we're just having conversations with people's journey with money, and the things they did right with it, the things that did wrong with it, and how did they really come about getting their mindset with money. So every episode's different. We all have a good takeaway from them. So do me a favor, hit the like button, smash the like button, and subscribe to my channel, because every episode that I do is going to be different, as all our journeys are different. So you guys take care, and we'll talk to you next week.